What's up, everybody? I'm Jordan. Welcome back to Watch What You Can. Today, I'm going to be talking about the movie Glass, starring James McAvoy, Samuel L. Jackson, and Bruce Willis. Now, Glass is kind of a sequel to Split, but it's even more so a sequel to Unbreakable. So, just first off the bat, if you haven't seen Unbreakable, you should see Unbreakable before you see Glass. It will make at least some more sense than if you hadn't. Split, you could get away without seeing before Glass, but it would be nice to have seen all the movies. It always is. Off the bat, I liked this movie. I did. I thought this movie was enjoyable. I love comic books. I love superhero movies. So to see M. Night kind of do his own realistic approach on superheroes was fascinating. The movie itself is very flawed. There's things I would have done differently. There's criticisms I have that just things disappointed me in the movie. There were disappointments. But at the end of the day, it's not my movie. I don't make movies. M. Night Shyamalan does. And he did his vision with this movie. I commend him for not going for the bigger budget. He made his small, kind of intimate superhero movie, and I gotta give him credit. Like I said, I wouldn't have made some of these decisions, but it's not my movie. I didn't come up with these characters. He is free to do whatever he wants with it. And we got what we got, and let's talk about it. So the movie starts. The first 20 minutes are kind of like a Alfred and Batman type setup with David and his son. I loved it. I loved that the kid was the same actor. I thought that was cool. I liked that David had kind of taken on this persona as like the overseer, and that's kind of how he was seen, and he was his own kind of superhero. I thought it was all really interesting. It was cool to watch that after everything we saw in Unbreakable. This was just a cool update. And let me just say, that fight between James McAvoy and Bruce Willis was awesome. I loved it. I know there were some weird camera decisions, but I thought it was interesting. I liked that it was bolder and more creative, the fight in itself, and I liked that just Bruce Willis got to be the hero for a second, that we all kind of really were expecting him to be after watching Unbreakable. Having it happen so early in the movie got me kind of in the mindset of, okay, so if this is happening this early, then the rest of the movie is going to be kind of slow. And it was. And some people hated that. Some people were bored. I thought it was fascinating. I liked the mental hospital. I liked the things that happened. I wouldn't have sat there for as long as M. Night decided to sit there. Really, one of my biggest criticisms of the movie is that I would have had more David in it, more Bruce Willis. I know the movie's called Glass, and it kind of was revealed at the end of this movie that really everything M. Night's been doing with these movies has been about Mr. Glass and Samuel L. Jackson's character, but I don't know. David just was always like the beating heart of the movies, and he kind of got given the shaft in this movie. He wasn't in it much after the beginning, and we got a couple shots of him being kind of tortured with water randomly in the middle. He's like choking on water in his cell, and he has that moment where all three of them are sitting in that pink room, which, mind you, is one of my most favorite shots of the year already. That pink room and the camera work and the tilted camera for Mr. Glass was just, that was great. M. Night killed that scene, and the color representations in that scene. If you don't follow M. Night on Twitter, follow him. He talks about what the colors mean in that scene, and he goes into every detail, and I love that. I love that he cares about the details in his movies. That being said, yeah, I was sad that we didn't have David, and I was also sad that we didn't really have Mr. Glass for like an hour at least. And when he was there, he was not coherent. There's a twist that M. Night kind of puts throughout his movies, and one of them being that Mr. Glass was kind of faking being all drugged out. But I don't know. It made sense in character, but it just went on for so long that it was just like, if this movie is about Mr. Glass, then I would like to get to Mr. Glass. It kind of felt like the movie was about Mr. Glass and not David or not, the Beast, but he wanted to show off James McAvoy before he got to Mr. Glass. While James McAvoy absolutely blew me away in those scenes and I wanted more of him, I wish he was given more as a character. If we're going to be given James McAvoy for like the first, hour of this movie and then transition into Mr. Glass's relationship with him and David and everything. I just would like more for James McAvoy to kind of work with. We got a lot of awesome showing off of his ability to be all those personalities, but it just didn't feel like any of the actors were really given rich character development throughout this movie. They just kind of stalled at some points. The parts where the movie shined, it shined. Like I said, I loved that beginning fight. I loved watching Mr. Glass kind of break out with the Beast. I also loved that, like I said, the pink scene where all three of them are with the psychiatrist and they're kind of being convinced that maybe they're not superheroes, which was fascinating because she's kind of almost convincing the audience that maybe there is a real science explanation for these people and they're not superheroes, and maybe we've kind of been bamboozled the whole time. And yeah, it was fascinating. I liked that. I liked that they messed around with the whole idea of, are they superheroes, are they not, do we even know as an audience? You know, the whole time you're like, no, David's David, he's incredible, but then you're like, well, shoot, maybe is he? And then it was just fascinating. But the movie unfortunately doesn't really stick its landing. It doesn't take its landing, and then it kind of stumbles, and it kind of ends up balancing on one foot when the credits roll. Getting into spoilers, really at the end, M. Night has his twists, and basically we find out that all of these characters are going to die, and that the psychiatrist, played by Sarah Paulson, was part of a secret society that was kind of in control of maintaining superhuman people, and they are just kind of around to make sure that superhuman people don't rise and they don't disrupt the status quo. They don't believe they're superheroes. And interesting, but just not fleshed out enough for it to be a good payoff. David flat out drowns in a puddle by a faceless figure shoving him in. That was really disappointing to watch. It just hurt. Not in a good, movies that hurt in a good way, and you're like, oh, it hurts, but it's because I love. And this one was, it hurt because I loved David, but also I hated that happened. It just didn't make sense. The faceless figure drowning him, I don't know. Even if the Beast drowned him and then the Beast got shot after being calmed down by the girl, something of that realm, but just not a faceless figure. The Clover thing, interesting, but not fleshed out enough. Like I said, it's just not, it just doesn't pay off because there's no mention of the Clover Society. There's no mention that these people even exist. And so there's no hint. And I get that that's the whole point of a twist, but also it was okay, these people exist, I guess. And then he was able to see, I was very confused what was happening in that room. I know you're supposed to be confused at first, but it's a room and she's in this, it was confusing. I didn't get it. And I'm like, wait, is he drowning? Is he weaker because he's being drowned? Does he just touch water and get weak? There was a lot of confusing things in this movie. And so that's why I said it's not perfect. This movie is supposed to be taking place a week after Split happened. And she just so nonchalantly is able to go back in there and see him and embrace him. And I get that she is she's been scarred and so she's brave, but gosh, man, that was some really incredible PTSD to just get over. She saw him eat her friends. It's just, yikes. She's brave. I give her credit, but man, that was, yeah. Really what I guess was weird was, that Mr. Glass's plan worked, and that was kind of cool that superhumans will now know that they're, I guess they'll have, the courage to maybe embrace that they could possibly be a superhero. I guess that's kind of what we're supposed to get from this movie, but, and Mr. Glass did it, and, that's cool, I guess, and it worked, and you're supposed to, and the movie makes it feel like it's a great thing, and it kind of is, I guess, but, he's also, a murderer and, a terrorist from Unbreakable and, killed so many people, and I'm like, okay, so the villain won in the end of this, and his plan was kind of good, but also he killed people and was a terrorist and a mass murderer, and he should be locked up. And so, he's dead now at the end of this, but it's just I feel weird rooting for his plan after what he did, So it's all fascinating. I'm gonna give Glass a 7.5 watch rating. No, 7.5. 3, minus point 2 for what they did to David. I like Glass. I really did. I'm gonna watch it again. I'll probably buy it. I liked it. I like any type of realistic, interesting, different take on the superhero genre in this age of like just golden superhero movies coming out every year. I will like any movie that gives me different perspectives. So I liked it. That's all for now about Glass, guys. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, chime in, let me know. And if you want to see more from Watch What You Can about movies, etc., if you want to hear me talk more, hit subscribe, and we'll do this again soon. Bye.